Okay, let's call this meeting to order at 7 o'clock. First up, adoption of the agenda. Any questions? If not, could I get a motion to adopt? Councillor Cutler, all in favor? Carried. Minutes from the regular meeting, December 7th, 2020. Any questions? If not, can I get a motion to accept? Councillor Moore, all in favor? Carried. Okay, next I need a motion to adjourn the meeting to go to the public hearing. So I get a motion to adjourn or to suspend. Councillor Schlossberger, all in favor? Carried. Okay, I will call the public meeting open at 7:01. Brad, you're up.
We actually need a motion to open the public hearing too.
You need a motion? Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
please.
Okay, motion to open the public meeting. Councillor Moore, all in favor? Carried. Okay. Brad, you're up. Or Blair. I was looking at Brad and talking to Blair. Yeah, okay, I'll try looking at who I'm talking to.
I was a little surprised Brad was up too, but I was going to let him go.
Yeah, you were gonna let him go, weren't you? I was looking right at him.
I'm not aware of any response or letters or anything that we've received.
So everything looks good?
Yeah, so I'm not aware of anybody who's brought up any concerns or issues that they want presented.
Any comments or questions from the council?
No.
Okay, can I get a motion to adjourn the open house? Councillor Schlossberger, all in favor? Carried. And I need a motion to start the regular meeting?
I'll make a motion to resume the regular meeting.
All in favor? Carried. Okay, we're moving on. First up, we have a delegation, the Willow Creek Immigration Services. Susan Kopak, Jarvis. Is she, I see her icon there.
There we go. Sorry, I'm just trying to get my camera up. 1 second. There we go.
There you go.
Happy New Year, everybody.
New Year.
Happy New Year.
See how things go, right?
Yep, see how it goes.
Yeah.
It'll be better.
Anyway, I'm hoping everybody had a chance sort of to look at what I sent out last week. And you know what, if you have questions, fire away. I know I'm new to some of you know who I am in the community. I don't live in Claresholm, but I'm hired to work in Claresholm from High River, and grew up in Southern Alberta, so I'm pretty familiar with most of the territory. As far as Willow Creek Immigration Services, we just opened up an office now back in September, and our job is to, excuse me, to support people within the RNIP program, and also to support other newcomers in the community. That being said, we are the agreement holder of the SILP grant, which is the Settlement Integration and Language project through the IRCC. And so that is how I'm funded to do my work. So I am out in the community. Some of you haven't met me yet, but I'm out there talking to employers. I haven't reached all the employers yet. I'm out there talking to immigrant newcomers, business owners, service providers, and other organizations, just to let them know what we're doing. Most people are on board. They want to know more about what we're doing. And it's sort of a work in progress. So we're nowhere near where we need to be. We're just laying the groundwork for this. Now, once I'm gone, or once this project is over, this is for the people of the town to carry. I'm simply here to facilitate the work. Martina is also my coworker. Her role is to work with the new immigrants or people within the RNIP program and do some mentorship with them. She has 3 volunteers that she's recruited to do some of the work. Marie, some of you might know Marie, she's done some of this work prior, and now we've also hired a settlement worker to work with the temporary foreign workers within Clarisholm in the area. So she's brand new. I think today was her first day. And so once our office is up and open and things get going again, you'll probably see her. She is actually a resident of Clarisholm. So I'm ready for questions or anything else that you're concerned or curious about. Please ask.
Okay, guys. Mike, I know you got some.
No, don't. Actually, that information that was sent out is actually very informative of understanding where the direction and the goal of what the purpose of the program is. Again, tied to the RNIP program and the new residents of Clarisholm. It's a lot more informative and able to speak to that, to the community, to sell it, to embrace the program, right? So there's a lot of good information on that handout there that I found.
Well, that's good. And I actually added more to that. I have a more concise report, but I wasn't finished writing it last Thursday. So, and the thing is too, I know, Doug, you said that there were some concerns in the community. People didn't know what our work was, what we're doing. I feel like we've made really good headway. Like I said, we haven't touched everybody, but I know that our office really, after like the 3rd week of November, we were basically shut down and just doing work remotely. So really hard to get out and talk to people, especially when you email or pick up the phone and they have no idea who you are and they may or may not answer, right? So it's a lot easier when you can sit down or talk like this and have a cup of coffee and say, hey, this is the work. What can we support you with? What do you need to know? What are you afraid of? Like, do you have a concern about like the program, right? So just having those one-on-one conversations, I think it's going to, when it happens, it's going to change things for people, definitely. And I think that moving forward here, and Brady and I are talking about just doing some cultural awareness, diversity training for larger audiences, not just for our group and our committee, just for whoever wants to join in and learn about some of those things. Because I think one of the biggest barriers for anybody is fear, like something you don't know about something. And so, you know, that's just human nature, right? So let's alleviate some of those things. Let's teach people about what we want to do, because honestly, I'm sure all of you would love to have Clarisholm on the map as being a leader in a project like this. And you know, being that community where people want to stay. That, I mean, that's how this whole RNIP thing, I'm sure that's how this whole thing got going, right? So how can we get people to feel welcome, stay in Clarisholm, build a community, build capacity? That's my job, in a nutshell.
So, and that's where I think, like you were saying, that education piece around the community and the dynamics of what the purpose of the initiative is. I just see it's point 3 on your guiding principles of educating the community. And that, to me, I think if we can do a little bit more of the education around what WCIS is and what it's doing for the community to better the community, not just, you know, not necessarily about what the program is itself, but what is it going to do for the community that's going to make it easier for everybody to adjust.
Right. And I think, I think that's reciprocal too, Mike. Like what can, how can we support the community, and how can the community be supporting everyone else? Like, what are those things that happen? Which is why I sent you that other supplemental sheet of paper. That was just sort of a starting point. That was some work that was done up in Wood Buffalo. And those were some of the points that they used in building community capacity. That's why I sent that just as an outline.
Okay.
But this can go any direction, right? Honestly, this is for the town. I'm here to facilitate and support the process. So moving forward, yeah, definitely we're going to try and educate people. I would love to be sitting in the office and just have the door open and invite people in and say, hey, come on in. We will have a sort of, maybe I'm going to say a grand opening or something in the next couple of months if things allow. You know, people can come and talk to us, you know, just find out what we do and how can we support you. And I know there were also concerns about this should be welcoming to everyone. Well, it is welcoming to everybody. I'm just funded through a specific stream.
Right.
But, you know, we've had a couple fellows walk in and look for supports, and they were new to the community, not new to Canada. And we just referred them to where they needed to be. So, you know, it's all encompassing, really.
Right. It's that wagon wheel services type of thing. They walk in
Exactly.
your door and you push them to the door. And that's great. That's fantastic.
Exactly. Because I don't think that exists anymore. At least it doesn't, as far as I know, that's
Right.
welcome wagon sort of
I
gone
don't think
by.
it doesn't, not in Claresholm.
No, and it doesn't in High River either. So that's kind of gone by the wayside. So this is very much aligned with something like that, right?
Well, that's something
Next-
where,
Yeah,
that's something where Mike was he was thinking it could be expanded into that, but I think if the community, like if with town council's involvement in this, we could look for volunteers to expand within it as long as we're willing to fund it. Because I know the grant parameter does not fund that kind of stuff.
right.
Right.
That's something that we can look at in the future through the committee and through Mike.
Right.
And I like now that I've got more of the information and the only part that COVID is really hurting us, I know, but the education part, I know to recap what you already talked about with Mike, it's the most important part here because a lot of people do not understand, first off, why are we bringing people into Claresholm? Second off, they can't get past the fact that maybe the immigration is taken away from something they would be able to get. You know, we got to educate people that this is not a threat and that they're culturally different. And I would like to, and like, I don't know how much latitude you got, but I think if we're allowed to start having meetings in the near future, if you reached out to all the service groups within town and went and gave presentations to them, any way we can to get more word out and educate the public and put, like you've done no advertising to say other than that one turkey supper, but put more in the paper. I mean, there's got to be
Well,
part of your grant must have been
yeah.
a budget for advertising.
Well, I think we've had 4 or 5 articles in the newspaper, Doug. So we had one prior to Christmas, a couple of them prior to Christmas about our events that we had held. We had one back when explaining what our services were. We did have the one at Thanksgiving. So we did those types of things, definitely. And as I had mentioned to you too, we were working on as we speak, working on a welcoming website. So we do have someone in place who is looking sort of at a logo, but we're going to take that back to the committee and say, you know what, you figure out how you want this to look for the town, or look for the welcoming portion of the town, and then we'll take it from there. So that is in the works. That will be another tool that we'll use. But yeah, it's just having those conversations. So like I say, my work isn't done, and going out to service groups or larger groups, that would be fantastic. I know I've approached a few of the churches who said that probably January, February, I could do small presentations to the church groups, and just so they could sort of understand what we're doing. I have talked with a couple of the ministers, definitely. But they're sort of holding back right now because they're so limited in what they can do. It's all online, obviously, right?
Yeah.
And
That's-
Susan,
we're
I just got one more question point. You, WCIS, were you guys a part of that hamburger cook-off that we did down in the park to welcome people?
Yes.
Right, you were, right, when we were flipping
Yeah.
burgers?
Yeah.
Okay,
So
see, that
yeah,
kind
and
of
that
stuff-
was great. I mean,
Yeah,
we had
we
such
had
good
good
feedback.
turnout.
Yeah.
and we had great feedback from it. And one of the new doctors that's coming to town attended that
Yes.
barbecue. So I
Yeah.
mean, there has been, like, so that kind of stuff. That's what I thought. That's what needs more of that welcoming. So that's
Absolutely.
where, and you guys were a part of that, right? That's what I kind of remember.
Yes,
Remember meeting
absolutely.
you
I
there
mean,
at the
really,
Flippin' Burgers.
yeah. So that was 1 month into doing this
Right.
program, right? So it was a
Right.
great Brady last minute kind of thing. And the feedback we got was people, we need more of this, right? It was just a very warm and welcoming. So that is our plan, to do some more of those things once we can. And to bring in, and I know if you look at some of the material I sent, and bring in the perspective of newcomers, bring in their cultural events or do a multicultural event, right? Those seem to be very successful in some of the other communities. It's a way to break down barriers, right? And educate people and enhance things.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, okay.
Well, Claresholm's got proof of that with the Filipinos.
Yes.
Their organization in town, they've put on dinners. They've at the museum every year. Well, not this year, but
Right.
20. But other years, they put their food out and they educate the people on what they're all about. And I mean, by doing that and becoming a very large part of our community, they've been very well received. And I think if, whatever cultures end up coming to town, the same sort of thing. We got to introduce our citizens to their culture, and it's usually a pretty easy swing once you get them introduced.
Right.
Okay, and that's great. I mean, and that is what we want to do. I know that you had mentioned about us doing more advertising and talking to people. It's a process. Like I said, we're getting there. We're trying to get there. We haven't reached out to everyone yet, but at least we are. We're making small strides in this. And I know that the Filipino community is very strong here as it is down there. And there's also small pockets of other people. I think the other thing we need to address through our education too is, like I said, there's fears and concerns about people taking jobs or this or that. Well, when I talk to Tim Hortons or any of those small groups, they can't get people to work. So a lot of these immigrants that come here, they'll take those jobs. They'll take 2 of those jobs, right? And all the power to them, right? So they are filling a niche. But I don't see that they're taking anything away from.
No, and we had some of those town hall meetings, and we knew that there was some resistance around the RNIP program and the understanding about what the RNIP program is bringing. And I think it's still a lot of the same people, understanding that people are just worried that handouts or other things are being given to immigrants over top. And I think there's just, like I said, a lot of education needs to be had and communication, just clarifying exactly what's going on, I think.
Yeah, agreed. Because really, and the people that I've met, they're not taking anything away. If anything, they're probably most grateful to be on our Canadian land, honestly.
They're enhancing our community by, buying houses, by, moving family. I mean, it's a growing process, but there's just still a lot of that misunderstanding and not quite awareness of what's going on.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, it's up to us to go out there and talk to people and you know what, just sort of alleviate some of that misunderstanding and those fears. And we'll get there. But I think if we work collectively as a group and support each other and support the program, we'll be successful in this.
Great. Wonderful. Thank you for your time.
Well, I think we all appreciate what you're doing, and we have a better understanding, because like a month ago when Mike first approached me, I really didn't have a proper grasp of what you were doing. And through the conversations we've had and the information you put out, I appreciate it. And I think it'll all turn out fine.
All right. Well, thank you for participating, and I hope to talk to you soon when I'm back down in Claresholm. Might be a little bit easier, but it'll come.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Susan.
Have a good evening.
Thank you, Susan.
Thank
Thanks.
you. Okay, we'll move on to number 1, bylaw 1667, the one we had the public hearing on. Any questions for Gavin? Gavin's here.
No.
No. If not, would anybody like to make us the second reading?
Actually.
Oh, sorry, yes.
Sorry, we need to make a change. Sorry, go ahead, Blair.
What? We need to make a change.
Sorry, I almost missed it here, but anyhow, just in the 4th paragraph of the bylaw, there's just we'd just like to add one word to add some clarity. It says, and whereas the purpose of amending bylaw number 1667 it almost sounds like we're amending bylaw 1667 rather than this being referred to as an amending bylaw. Just wanting to add the word "the" in there. So the purpose of amending of the amending bylaw number 1667.
We wouldn't even have known if you hadn't have told us.
So just wondering if we
Okay.
can get a motion before the second reading, just for that one small,
Typo.
adding that word "the" in there.
Okay, motion by Councillor Schlossberger to amend bylaw 1667. Question, Frame.
So it'll say, moved by Councillor Schlossberger to amend bylaw number 1667 in the fourth paragraph to say the purpose of the amending bylaw number 1667 prior to second reading.
All in favor? Carried. Okay, now we will go on to second reading of the amended bylaw. Councillor Cutler. All in favor? Carried. Third reading. Councillor Carlson. All in favor? Carried. Okay, moving on to the bylaw 1709, dog bylaw. Blair, what do you got?
So this is just this is a bylaw that administration looked at amending, or our dog bylaw looking at amending to be able to better deal with the dangerous dogs in our community. So basically, just looking for more avenues to be able to deal with aggressive dogs, adding into our dog bylaw some specific wording around aggressive dogs and how to deal with them, as well as adding in some specific fine structures around dangerous or aggressive dogs, as well as a special license for aggressive dogs. It's a higher license fee than for other dogs. So this was drafted a while ago. It just went to the Emergency Services Committee meeting on October 7th. And they had just a couple small adjustments and then have recommended this forward to council for first reading.
So is this aligned with other communities and municipalities around us? Is that where this wording comes from? Like, is this typical of?
I believe so. I'm not the one that drafted it, so I'm not sure where the changes, if this was taken from another bylaw or not. But it was just adding some specific stuff there in towards aggressive dogs, which yes, that is normal within other bylaws to have something, a different license structure and whatnot for dangerous or aggressive dogs.
Any other questions?
I was just, and I might have man-eyed a couple of times. What deems the dog aggressive?
That's in there in the definition.
Yeah.
That's where I thought I've tried reading it like a few times, and that's why I don't know if I was just speeding through it. It does mention it a lot, but what criteria does an aggressive dog meet?
Under number 2, definition number 2 in this bylaw, it goes into, like, it's pretty in depth all the way A to N in
Well, so yeah, the aggressive dog is mostly there in 2A. And so then there's 1 through 4 in Roman numerals there of what that means.
But I think it's the animal control officer that has that final say of deeming whether they're dangerous, right?
Well, it depends. It could be the CAO, or it actually can sometimes be the courts under provincial legislation.
Yeah, it says a bylaw officer, CAO, peace officer, RCMP officer. So it's pretty broad in who can define it. But once the definition's there, then everything else kicks in.
Yeah.
And it's laid out pretty well in 1 through 4, what all constitutes it. Craig, do you see that one there?
Yeah,
And so if you also look in section 27 is where it really talks about that being defined. So basically, if a dog is declared to be an aggressive or dangerous dog by the justice, so by the courts, and not ordered to be destroyed, the CAO or their designate shall give the owner written notice of such declaration containing the following details. And then that's where it gives them details of the extra requirements on them with their dog.
My recollection from the meeting, and that was quite a while ago, but aggressive could be defined by the actions of the dog. The dangerous dog came from the courts as a recommendation back. So if the courts had deemed it as a dangerous dog through 27, that's where that would end up falling.
Any other questions?
yeah.
Hey Google, I saw.
No, I was just I thought I read somewhere like if the dog unprovocatively chases somebody or
That's
something like that, it gets deemed as aggressive or whatever.
Well, it doesn't automatically, but it can. That's in the definition under A3, I
Right,
think it was.
which really isn't fair, right? Like I want to make sure we don't pigeonhole certain breeds, because you put any dog in any backyard and somebody walks by, they're going to chase the people, right? It's dogs' natures that if they're in their own property, they're going to run through their fence lines and run at people and bark and stuff like that, right?
But this is more of a dog out in the open running at you.
Animal that
Yeah,
is not.
It's going to be at the discretion of the people involved, the bylaw, CAO. It's not going to be just a blanket. Because even my little dog will take a run once in a while and barking, but stop 20 feet short. So I see exactly what you mean.
That does like a bluff charge.
Yeah. Would you like to, if you're not sure of it, Craig, we can send it back for more definition.
No, it's like I said, I read it a few times. I just was wondering I just didn't want it laid out like, worded so that it pigeonholes certain breeds as a thing, because it's not fair to, you have one bad run-in with one dog doesn't justify that that's what the whole breed is like, right?
Well, I don't think that's the purpose the administration was looking for. It is just to give, in bad circumstances, some teeth to the bylaw.
Yeah. No, other than that, I was fine with the rest of it.
And I can't speak for Marion, but I don't think there's any intention to, if a dog is chasing within their own yard, that's not even going to come up. It's if they're chasing out in the public, if they're chasing or injuring other, another dog or a human or whatever else there, that would then come to our attention.
Yeah, within your own yard, if it's running along the fence barking, that falls under the noise bylaws. Nothing to do with this one. That's where my dog belongs.
There you
the
go,
noise
Mike.
bylaws.
That's where my dog belongs. Sounds good.
There you go, Mike.
Yep. Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's 7th Street dog.
Yeah, Mike, your dog hasn't started barking yet.
As soon as we get that bylaw officer, we will make sure he comes and visits my neighborhood.
So, is there any other questions?
Nope.
If not, would somebody be willing to do the first reading? Councillor Moore. Question.
Moved by Councillor Moore to give bylaw number 1709, the dog bylaw, first reading.
All in favor? Carried. Number 3, bylaw 1710, the traffic and highways bylaw, second and third reading. Blair.
So this is just coming back forward for second and third reading. So this was just cleaning up the traffic and highway bylaw a little bit. It's been a long time since it had been reviewed or amended. as well as amalgamating one section from the current unsightly and snow removal bylaw, moving snow removal of sidewalks into this bylaw as it deals with the public roadways rather than private property, as well as moving in similarly the curbs and gutters, cleaning out of curbs and gutters out of a separate bylaw, 13 something. From quite a while ago into this bylaw as well, because again, it deals with that public roadway.
Okay, any questions? If not, could I have a second? Councillor Schlossberger. Question.
Moved by Councillor Schlossberger to give bylaw number 1710, a traffic and highways bylaw, second reading.
All in favor? Carried. Third reading. Councillor Zimmer, is that what you
Yeah, I was trying to
indicated?
push my unmute button there so I could say I would like to give the
I
third
wondered
reading.
what the finger movement was about. Okay. Question.
Moved by Councillor Zimmer to give bylaw number 1710, a traffic and highways bylaw, third and final reading.
All in favor? Carried. Number 4, bylaw 1711, unsightly premises, property standards bylaw, second and third reading. Clark.
So again, this is another bylaw that has already been presented for first reading at the last meeting. This is council gave direction to administration to look at the unsightly bylaw and to do some fairly serious overhaul of this bylaw to try to just make it, I guess, easier to enforce, provide a little bit more concrete definitions, as well as it adds in a few other things within the last bylaw. It talked about things like an accumulation of vehicles being unsightly, whereas, as we have seen probably around town, there's, a single vehicle can be unsightly. And so it better defines that to be able to deal with those issues. It better defines exact length of grass versus just grass being unsightly. That's, very, one person's opinion might think that 3-inch grass is unsightly. Another person might think 9-inch grass is unsightly. So it now just provides a more definitive length for that type of thing. There's also a new section in here regarding trailers, RVs, that basically restricts the parking of camping trailers and those types of things in the front yard only the summer months. In the winter months, those need to be moved to the back or side yard or off property. Now that section wouldn't come into effect until I believe it's the fall of 2021.
Yeah,
Correct.
September.
So Doug, I just got 2 questions regarding that. Can I ask them now?
Yeah. Now's the time.
So, my house, I have a backyard that I have a back alley access. I can park my trailer in my backyard as an RV parking 12 months of the year.
Yep.
Somebody like somebody who lives on the golf course who only has a front driveway and their trailer is still 1 meter back from the sidewalk, it's still, that goes against that bylaw. They can't park any RV in the front of their house.
Well, they can for 5 months of the year.
From May to
Sorry,
September.
yes.
May
Sorry,
1st to, is it the start or the end of September? End of September, wasn't it?
It just
During
says
the month
the
of May to
months.
September exclusive.
Yeah, May.
Yeah, so the start of May till the end of September, so.
End of September. And then they'd have to find another, so, but now somebody like you, I'm just using you as an example, who's got a corner lot, your trailer would be able to be parked in the side yard? Is that what
No.
a side yard is?
No, because I had
Oh.
that argument, I immediately questioned that myself. And I have parking on the side. I poured a pad for it on the side, my side yard. And the
Yeah.
only way I can use that side yard parking is if I push my trailer all the way back until it's behind the line of my house.
So the line of your house, okay. Yeah, I was just
Which-
confused with the line in the side yards. I just wasn't I just didn't know what it
If you
meant.
look down the side of my house, that my cargo trailer is pushed back and you can't see it. So it's in the backyard. But because I'm a corner lot, if it was ahead of the side of my house, it wouldn't be legal.
Okay, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
because
I
that's,
know, I was-
that's considered
put in all
a
that
secondary
parking for
front
it.
yard.
And then, yeah, in the front yard, if you have parking beside your house in your front yard and you push it back past the front of your house, that's
Yeah.
considered your backyard, so you're okay. But it can't be on grass. It has to be on gravel or asphalt or concrete, something
Right, right,
permanent.
right.
Next time you're out driving around, Mike, if you go where Brooke and Shane Stewart, how they have their
Yep.
front set up, where his side, they're perfect, because on the side of his house, his trailer goes beyond
Right
the
back.
front facing part.
And it's gravel.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I was just trying to figure out that side parking. Like, I just didn't understand, but what you're saying, as long as it's not in front, if it doesn't go past the front of the house, that's considered the backyard. That would be side parking is okay. The only ones that we're kind of looking at is the hindrance of the front parking people who have driveways or whatever in front of their house. They're not going to be able to park their RVs on from
Yeah.
September. So, okay.
Well, and it's
Doug's
also,
gonna make me move my trailer.
What's
Yeah,
that?
yeah, Brad, you're
No,
on your
but-
trailer. So you can't use your trailer. You can't park your trailer, Brad.
Sloshburger's fine until the end of September. Then I'm gonna go tow it.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to clarify. I did talk to Tara today. But I still, it's just, to me, without visualizing, I was trying to figure out what that side yard meant, what corner yard and front yard. So I was just trying to figure, but that makes sense.
Well, the main reason this came up was because of complaints around town about not so much people, I mean, I'm one, I park my fifth wheel on my driveway from when I first used it in May until I put it away in September. But
Right.
there's quite a, if you drive around town, there's quite a few people just parking them on their lawn.
Mhm.
And that's, that's another thing that the complaints drove this bylaw. So now it's defined as a parking spot. You can't just park them on the lawn and leave them over the winter.
Right.
Any other questions? Okay. Would somebody like to go for second reading? Councillor Carlson. Question?
Moved by Councillor Carlson to give bylaw number 1711 an unsightly premises and property standards bylaw, second reading.
All in favor? Carried. Third reading, Councillor Zimmer.
Give bylaw 1711 its third reading.
Question?
Moved by Councillor Zimmer to give bylaw number 1711 an unsightly premises and property standards bylaw, third and final reading.
All in favor? Carried. Okay, number 5, bylaw 1716, the BMO operational borrowing bylaw, second and third. Sure.
So this is just, as you said, operational borrowing bylaw. It's a bylaw we pass every year, just to keep it current. So this is the same borrowing limit we've had for years now. It switched from ATB to BMO last year. Currently, we are not utilizing that line of credit at all, and we haven't for many years, but it's just there for a contingency.
Any questions? If not, second reading. Councillor Cutler. Question?
Moved by Councillor Cutler to give bylaw number 1716, the BMO operational borrowing bylaw, second reading.
All in favor? Carried. Third reading? Councillor Schlossberger. Question?
Moved by Counselor Schlossberger to give bylaw number 1716, the BMO operational borrowing bylaw, third and final reading.
All in favor? Carried. Number 6, bylaw 1717, AMSC operational borrowing bylaw, second and third reading. Clark.
So similar to the last one, this is an operational borrowing bylaw that we pass annually. This is for our credit card that we get through AMSC. So as per the MGA, any borrowing has to be passed by bylaw. And so this is just renewing that again, same as previous years.
Any questions? Second reading?
I'll give bylaw 1717 second reading.
Question?
Moved by Counselor Zimmer to give bylaw number 1717, the AMSC operational borrowing bylaw, second reading.
All in favor? Carried. Third reading. Councillor Carlson. Question?
Moved by Counselor Carlson to give bylaw number 1717, the AMSC operational borrowing bylaw, third and final reading.
All in favor? Carried. Number 7, bylaw 1718, the land use amendment, first reading. Claire.
So this is a land use bylaw amendment just for the partial rezoning of the southwest section of property located at 280 59th Ave East, from ag transitional to highway commercial. The applicant proposes to construct and operate a shop with office for trailer sales and service. Access will be from 59th Ave East via private driveway. And any proposed use and development proposed is dealt with through the land use bylaw permitting process through MPC or development officer, which will happen at a later time. So those items such as parking, setbacks, landscaping, etc., will be looked at that point. So this is just the first step to aligning the or to that development to get the land use district in line with the intended development. So this portion of land intended for redesignation is located within a non-operating land fill buffer. So that restricts the development of subdivision or so for development of hospitals, schools, residents, and food establishments. Industrial and certain types of commercial uses without service would not be affected by this setback. The applicant is fully aware of these restrictions and these setbacks. And so just within accordance with the Municipal Government Act, this being a land use bylaw amendment does require a public hearing and advertisement prior to second reading. Now this redesignation is within line of our municipal development plan, excuse me. This area is identified for future growth for institutional parks with commercial surrounding. So that is in line with that, with our municipal development plan. Also with our Town of Claresholm stormwater management plan, this area is also kind of developed or identified as a low area. But this section of property is not included in any proposed management areas. Those are a little bit further to the north and east. Any other comments there, Gavin?
No, well done.
My iPad crashed. So, damn it. Are there any other questions, comments?
No.
No? Okay
Oh,
then,
good.
first reading. Anybody? Councillor Schlossberger. Question?
Moved by Councillor Schlossberger to give bylaw number 1718, a land use bylaw amendment, first reading.
All in favor? Carried. And that's, you're free to go, I guess, Gavin.
No, one more.
Got
One more.
Oh, yeah, number 8 is yours also.
One more.
Bylaw 1719, land use bylaw amendment. There.
All right, so again, this is another zoning amendment. So rather than a rezoning though, this is for a newly amalgamated area of land there down where Custom Cannabis is. So that we got the order in council back on December 9th, approving that annexation of that property into the town of Clarisome. And so now we're just looking to zone that area of land as industrial. Now again, as this is a land use bylaw amendment, it will require advertisement and public hearing prior to second and third readings.
Any questions?
Why does that keep doing that? Whoops.
What's that?
Be quiet, Craig.
Well, Craig, at least yours is working. Mine has crashed completely now.
Every time I try to move my paper up to read it, it restarts my agenda.
Well, that's what mine just all of a sudden did, and then it just crashed and it's off. I'm rebooting it, so I'm going blind here. So any questions on that 1719? If not, first reading.
I'll make the motion for first reading.
Okay, question?
Rick,
Moved by Councillor Carlson to give bylaw number 1719, a land use bylaw amendment, first reading.
All in favor? Opposed? Councillor Moore, opposed or you're opposed? Yours crashed too. We're having a little technical difficulties here tonight.
Thanks, Gavin.
When you were saying opposed, he was shaking his head no.
Yeah, I saw that. So we're in
Can
carried.
you unmute it? Can you unmute it, Gavin?
Gavin, unmute. There you
Sorry,
go.
I had to mute that. Yeah, I'm sorry.
I think you froze out there for a minute. Okay, so everybody's in favor. That's carried.
Have a good evening.
See you later, Gav.
Thanks, Gavin.
I'm gonna try and get my machine back up.
I had to move mine over to iBooks.
That's what I just did. When I go to iBooks, it works now, but if I try to just use it as the attachment, it disagrees with me.
That's where I usually put it, but I didn't this time, and I'm doing it right now.
Mine's working, just so you know I was prepared.
Oh,
Because you
here's-
get extra, never mind, we're on YouTube.
Uh-huh. That's why you can't say something.
You get back, Craig.
I think my girls might be listening tonight, so keep it G-rated.
That's right. I think Brad's parents are listening tonight, so keep it G-rated.
They don't own a computer.
Okay, I got it up.
I'm here. So I
That didn't
appreciate it.
sound good either. It's fine. Okay, we're gonna keep this good. Number 9, news release, Alberta Municipal Affairs, the fiscal report card improvements, local decision making. Claire,
So every year, each municipality is required to submit a financial information return as well as a statistical information return. So the Alberta government has just basically created a portal where all of this information is amalgamated, and the public can use it to kind of compare different municipalities to one another. Now they've tried to make it, they kind of say that it allows you to to make accurate comparisons across communities. It's not necessarily really 100% accurate. There's definitely a lot of things there that they still don't really equalize or account for. So you still have to take this information with a bit of a grain of salt. They don't do anything to, show growth rates of the communities, to show the age of the communities. All those things are going to make a fairly significant difference in, I guess, deficit in their infrastructure, or those different things, depending on the age of your pipelines in the ground, is going to make a big difference and stuff for a community that hasn't grown for many years versus a community that's growing quickly.
So it's really open to interpretation.
It is.
Any questions? Okay, we'll take it for information. Next up, number 10, correspondence. The former Minister of Municipal Affairs, the Honorable Tracy Allard. The MSP red tape reduction. Claire.
So this is related to the municipal stimulus program that they announced back in July. So this is basically funding that we've received for helping us out operationally with the effects of COVID on our municipality. One of the requirements with this municipal stimulus program was basically they're wanting reporting and commitment on us for red tape reduction, which really has nothing to do with the funding itself. It's just kind of a tag on that they've done to try to meet some of their objectives. So basically just saying here that we are required to submit a report both for 2020 and 2021. 2020 report is due by February 1, 2021, and we are working on that report. We'll have it submitted. So basically this is just looking at us reporting on what we're doing to either make it easier to start up a new business in our community, streamline the process and shorten timelines for development and subdivision permit approvals, or make our community more attractive destination for new investment or tourism. And I think we're doing things in all three of those areas that we can report.
Is there anywhere in there that we can give them a failing grade on this red tape reduction?
Well, yeah, and it's definitely not reducing our red tape as a municipality. And I don't know if there's a way to put that in there, but we will look to do something there, as it's definitely adding red tape for us, or extra work for us as a municipality.
Well, it's not only adding, it is adding extra work on the planning department, and it's also slowing things down because it's a falsehood, the red tape. Like you take our water license transfer, the MD has got one applied for and the golf course has one applied for to get it to transfer into the town's water line. It's coming on 3 years. Now you tell me that's red tape reduction? And it seems like everything that the government does, this red tape reduction is just dragging it down, because they seem to be more focused on making paperwork to prove that they're great than to actually reducing the work to get this stuff done. So if you could find a way in administration to give them a failing grade, I think it'd be great.
Okay.
Any other comments on that? Was that a little too strong?
No.
Okay, we'll take that for information. Number 11, correspondence, the Honorable Tyler Shandro, Minister of Health. The HEMS review and 2020 air ambulance update. Claire, anything there?
It's kind of a non-update update, but anyhow, basically just telling us that there was a review carried out by Alberta Health Services, and they've submitted their first draft report, but that the findings are limited, they're broad recommendations, and it's really not enough information to really move forward on. And so just telling us that they are going to continue working with AHS for further analysis. And that's basically the update.
Okay.
Typical Chandro answer.
Wow, that makes me.
Whoa.
Hey, we're into government bashing tonight. We're okay.
Yikes.
Okay, next up, number 12, Reynolds, Mirth, Richards, and Farmer, LLP, the 36th Annual Municipal Law Seminar. Claire.
So this is just for information. They do these annual municipal law seminars. There's some, I think, some fairly good sessions available within this update. There should be included in the agenda package there, some of the sessions that they're doing. This is just for information. If any of you are interested in attending, just please contact Corrine to let her know when she'll get you registered.
This is virtual, is it not?
It is.
Yeah.
It is virtual on February 4th and 5th.
Yeah.
Hey, Brad, is this what we went to last year in Calgary?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay, if you guys would like to take any of the courses or take the whole thing, just let the administration know. Moving on. Number 13, Old Man Watershed Council. Claire.
So this is basically just an update on what the Old Man Watershed Council is doing, and basically their annual letter of asking for donation or support for what they're doing. Now this is coming a little later in the year than it usually does. We usually receive it back in September or October and have this motion passed for support within the calendar year. We're now into 2021 for 2020 support. But basically they're asking for 47 cents per resident. So that works out to be $1,777. The last 2 years were $1,776 last year, and the year before that, $1,701. So it's very similar to previous years. And so just basically looking for a motion from council whether or not to support the Old Man Watershed Council with that donation.
Comments?
I
Anybody?
think it's rather important right now to do that.
You were reverberating, Brad, and I didn't get that.
I think it's appropriate that we support them now.
Any other comments?
We are having significant issues with the Old Man and the Livingston watersheds and the Grassy Mountain coal project. So I've got a few folks that have been talking to me that are quite concerned. So yes, please, if we could support that, I would very much appreciate it.
Would somebody like to make that motion?
I would very much like to make that motion.
Okay, Councillor Carlson. Any other comments? Question?
Moved by Councillor Carlson to support the Old Man Watershed Council with a donation of $1,777 to continue their efforts towards watershed health in our region.
All in favor? Carried. Correspondence, correspondence, the City of Cold Lake, a letter to Minister Shandro about COVID-19 alert. Claire.
So yeah, this is just a letter from the City of Cold Lake to the Alberta government, to the Honorable Tyler Shandro, Minister of Health, basically just regarding the Alberta Trace Together app. So basically there is, as I'm sure you're aware, the Alberta Trace Together app, which basically helps to do contact tracing for COVID-19 that Alberta put out. The federal government has also put one out called COVID-19 Alert. Now these two apps, they don't work together. They don't, and so Cold Lake, being they have quite a few residents, so they're close to the Saskatchewan border. They have quite a few residents coming from Saskatchewan using the federal app. They're in Alberta, so they're using the Alberta app, and there's just been problems being able to do effective COVID-19 tracing, having the two apps that don't work together. So they're basically just requesting the Alberta government to either amend their app to work with the federal one, or to abandon theirs and use the federal one.
So we'll take this for information. Are there any comments?
No.
No.
Okay, we'll just take it for information. Moving on, number 15, Claresholm Potter's Guild, the use of Mackin Hall. Claire.
So we received a letter from the Potters Guild on January 7th. Basically just the Potters Guild is looking for space where they can move to when this building is vacated. They currently operate out of our basement and have done for 30 plus years. It's a fairly small group. They meet, I think, weekly, one evening a week down in our basement. With our move here to our new building in the next few months, there isn't space for them in the new building, and they recognize that. So they're just looking for a new place to go. Their suggestion or their ask here is to use Mackin Hall, the basement of Mackin Hall. And also they have some discussion in here wondering about trying to coordinate with the town on some allied arts group, as well as trying to do a better job of introducing pottery to the community and grow their group. We haven't put together any information brief on this. Right now, we're just kind of looking for direction from council as to how you'd like us to proceed with this. Right now, there is a policy in place regarding Mackin Hall, that Mackin Hall is supposed to be used for youth purposes only. That building was donated to the town for that purpose. I know there's been some discussions around the use of Mackin Hall when the station started using it. And so just wondering what direction council wants to go with this.
Anybody?
Would it
Yes, Craig?
would it even work? Like, is it even, like, I don't know how much power, like, type of services, like, is it even service to do pottery stuff?
Well, they would have to investigate that and pay for the upgrade if it needed upgrading. You mean a heavier service, like probably a 200 amp service to run their.
Yeah.
That's, I think that shouldn't be part of the conversation, because if the service isn't sufficient, they would be responsible for getting it sufficient. I think the first thing we got to look at is, are we interested in using it for the Potter's Guild? And myself, I would be in favor of it. I think the hall is underutilized. And but I would clearly like to state that the town incur no cost in what Councillor Zimmer said about upgrading the electrical service.
I will also note, I know there's the main user of that building from a youth perspective is the Scouts group. I know there has been discussions of them using the youth meeting room in the new building. And so maybe, you know, we could look at amending that Mackin Hall policy to look more at just youth groups using that room in our new building rather than Mackin Hall or something along those lines. Now they don't have funds, the Scout group doesn't have funds to pay for rent in that new building, and I don't think with their current use that we would be looking to charge that on them in using the other room in the new building. It's a thought.
Well, definitely, I think the Scouts should look at using the new building. I mean, that is a community building, and if we can utilize it for the Scouts, that'd be great. And as far as Mackin Hall, I think it should be designated so it can be used for community functions. Over, like, not just the youth anymore, because it's such minimal use the way it is.
So I don't remember being in Mackin Hall for many years, but they're talking about the basement. Like, what's in the basement of Mackin Hall?
The basement is developed. Years ago, they had a shooting range down there for the Boy Scouts.
Oh.
So it's a fairly sound concrete basement. It's been upgraded, and I know it's waterproof. I haven't been in there in 10 years, so I don't know the current condition of it.
It's fine.
I think not that long ago, they took the washroom out of the basement when they did some work down there. So I don't know if that'll cause any problems. I don't think so. There still is a washroom upstairs that they can utilize.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to be able to have these people have a spot, but I think it's, you know, if it's an opportunity that we can utilize some of that building, that's great. But again, no cost to town, and they got to find a way to, I mean, yeah, they got kilns or whatever they use to do their parties. They're going to have power to. So, but as far as finding them a free space or something is,
And it may work fine there. We don't know that. So I know the hall has been updated numerous times, but whether the power has ever been updated, I have no idea. So it's something, I think the concept right now is, are we interested in having administration look into this?
I think so. I think if we can find some way to get it utilized more, like you say, like I understand it was for youth at first, but it's heavily underutilized now, and I'd rather have somebody use it and have it upkept than have it sat there empty and become decrepit and an eyesore.
That's right. Yeah.
now, is that another discussion we have to have with the Mackin family around whether they're willing to do that? Is that how that went?
Yeah.
Well, I think it's something that we'll have to, but last time we went to talk to them, they weren't very interested from what I understand from administration. And another thing we got to look at in the longevity of this is the utilization. I mean, the Scouts are the only group that uses it fairly consistent. If we offer them space in the multi-use building, what's left for Mackin Hall? The Cloggers were there. That's not a youth group. That was actually mainly middle-aged older people. There's been different organizations gone in there, and very few of them youth. We did have the youth center there for a while, a few years back.
Right.
And the station was moved there temporarily, but I'd like to see the building utilized. And I don't think, we definitely should talk to the Mackins, but I think that designation has got to be lifted from that building so as it can be broadened and used.
Just so it can be utilized.
Yes.
Without the stipulations.
So my suggestion at this point would just be a motion from council to direct administration to look into allowing or whether or not that building can be used for the Potteries Guild, and investigate the amendment of policy for that building.
Yeah.
That's exactly how I would have worded. That's exactly how I would have worded that.
That's how my man says it.
Hey, who of you is going to make that motion? Councillor Cutler, did you get all that, Corinne?
Yeah, I already had something written up actually. So I have moved by Councillor Cutler to direct administration to investigate the possible use of Mackin Hall by the Claresholm Potters Guild, and to investigate the possible amendment of policy regarding the use of Mackin Hall.
Perfect, man. It's very well spoken there, Cutler.
Thank you.
All in favor? Carried. Number 16, request for decision, Kinsman grant application playground. Claire.
So the Kinsman is looking to reapply to the Community Facility Enhancement Program, or CFEP. So they already applied last year and were unsuccessful. They're applying again this year. This is for playground at the
Amundsen.
Thank you. I blanked there for a minute. So this would be replacing the existing southeast playground location there. And upgrading the playground there to accommodate all the way from 2 through 12. Right now, it's just an ages over 5 playground there. The total project cost is estimated at just over $154,000. And just looking for matching on that CFEP grant of $72,334,000 from the town. A big chunk of that would be in-kind contribution in use of our equipment and whatnot in removing the existing playground and installing the new one, and as well as preparing the ground and whatnot. And so looking at what should just be a cash contribution of just shy of $30,000. Now with our letter of support, they don't really distinguish between the two. And so it's just looking for a motion on that full total of $72,334.
Okay, any questions? If not, would you, one, if you like to make a motion?
I'll make this motion, Mr. Mayor. I love this idea.
Okay, Councillor Moore. Question?
Moved by Councillor Moore to write a letter of support for the Kinsman Club of Claresholm's application to the Community Facility Enhancement Program grant for the purpose of constructing a new playground at Amundsen Park and to provide the matching funds / in-kind donation of $72,334.
All in favor? Carried. Number 17, request for decision, minor hockey grant application for a new Zamboni. Claire.
So again, this is another CFEP grant application being put forward by the Claresholm Minor Hockey Association. This is to replace our Zamboni at the arena, at the ice arena. This is the replacement of the Zamboni has been something that's kind of been pushed off in our budget for a number of years. It's now approximately 20 years old and in need of replacement to reduce interruption of operations there at the arena where Zamboni being down for repairs. So this is within our 2021 approved capital budget and just looking for a 50% cash contribution or matching funds for this grant.
It is in our 2021 budget?
Sorry, say that again?
It is in our 2021 budget for the
It
Zamboni?
is.
It is.
Good.
You betcha.
I couldn't remember if that one made it, so yeah.
You weren't at that meeting. Is that what you said? You
Stop
weren't
it.
either. Yeah.
Stop it.
Okay, who would like to make that motion? Councillor Cutler. Question?
Moved by Councillor Cutler to write a letter of support for the Claresholm Minor Hockey Association's application to the Community Facility Enhancement Program grant, small stream grant, and provide the matching funds in the amount of $51,272 for the purchase of a Zamboni.
All in favor? Carried.
Hey Doug, can I just ask one more quick question before we move forward?
Yep.
When we support all these CFEP grants, like it doesn't matter how many towns supports, right? They're going to make a decision on which one gets it or not. Like it doesn't go against any of our groups to put in more than one,
No,
right? We've
No,
had
probably-
that question before, right?
they go on their own merit when it gets up there.
Right. So supporting 5 isn't any detriment to supporting 1.
Other than the limited funds, no, I don't.
Okay.
It's not
okay.
really. Because
Okay.
if they show enough priority in the line, you
Right.
may see, we've had it before where 2 have got approved.
Okay. That's I remember somebody asking that before, I think. I just wanted to make sure that was
If they're frivolous, that many would make them fall behind, but if they're all, good, honest efforts to get something done, they'll be considered.
okay. Okay.
Okay, number 18, orthophotography project. Where?
So this is for an ACP grant for orthophotography through ORSC, the Oldman River Regional Service Commission. So ortho photos are used by the town primarily for our Geographic Information System, or GIS, which assists us in our planning, development, enforcement, infrastructure maintenance, and reporting, as well as it's used, and it is utilized on a daily basis by town staff in those ways. It's also used by the public through our public GIS portal for engineers, developers, real estate agents, and etc. So this, we look to try to update our ortho photos every 3 to 5 years. The more up to date those ortho photos are, the more useful they are. And so traditionally we have got our ortho photos updated through ORSC, generally through a grant process. So again, that's what we're doing this year as well. The grant is being led by the town of Fort Macleod, and just looking for basically our council's support on that application. There, I think, is 43 municipalities in all going together on this project, as long as all 43 approve it. And so we're fairly confident we should receive these, those should be successful in this grant application. If we're not, however, the cost would be our own to foot. Estimated cost would be about $6,000 to $8,000, depending on how many people remain in the project. Now, we do currently also have our application with the FCM grant for our Muni site GIS. So if we're unsuccessful in this grant, we're not certain whether or not it's wise to pay the $6,000 to $8,000 for this orthophotos out of tax dollars, depending on our priority on those two different projects if both of them aren't successful. So right now we're just looking for a motion on the ACP grant. If the ACP grant isn't successful, we would investigate further whether or not to proceed with the orthophoto project.
Okay.
Okay. Councillor Cutler, that's a motion. Okay. Question.
Moved by Councillor Cutler to participate in an application for the 2021 South Region Urban Orthophotography Project submitted by the town of Fort Macleod under the intermunicipal collaboration component of the Alberta Community Partnership Grant, and as a participant agrees to abide by the terms of the conditional grant agreement governing the purpose and use of the grant funds.
Okay, all in favor? Carried. Next up, financial report, statement of operations up till November 30th. Any questions? If not, a motion to accept.
I'll make a motion to accept the income statement for up to November 30th.
Actually, Councillor Schlossberger beat you to it, Craig.
All right.
Question.
Moved by Councillor Schlossberger to accept the consolidated statement of operations for the month ended November 30th, 2020 as presented.
All in favor? Carried. Okay, number 20, information brief, 2020 Healthy Community Awards winners. Where?
So each year, the Alberta Communities Choose Well, a division of Alberta Recreation and Parks Association, recognizes Choose Well champions for their accomplishments in advancing healthy eating and or active living in their communities through the Healthy Community Awards. So this year, the town of Claresholm nominated the Claresholm Food Rescue. So on December 18th, we received word the town of Claresholm had been selected as one of the 2020 Healthy Community Award winners. So there will be a virtual award ceremony scheduled in March, as well as interviews to be scheduled with those who have made this possible. And they Choose Well will also be putting together a short video presentation that will showcase the award winners, which will be placed on their website.
Perfect. Well done. Information brief, foreclosure, debt recovery. Blair?
So this is just a quick update to council regarding some potential fee receivables that we'll not be able to collect on. So without divulging any personal information, basically there are 2 properties within town that are undergoing bank foreclosure. The bank has paid the taxes for 2020 on the properties. But there are some other utilities and account receivables on those properties that we likely won't be able to collect. Right now, the amount outstanding on these 2 properties combined is $1,340.39. And depending on the date of sale or whatever else that happens there, there may be additional utilities and whatnot that will become uncollectible. So administration will be recommending these amounts to show as doubtful accounts on the 2020 financials.
Okay, and that's just a brief. We don't need any motions for that. So moving on. Information brief. Arena early closure. Well, this is more than an information brief. It's something we got to decide on. it was brought to my attention, the possibility of closing the arena, taking the ice out. I have since talked to figure skating and minor hockey. Minor hockey would at first was all in favor of taking it out. On further conversation with them, they would like to see if they can go back to full use on the 21st. And if they can, they would make use of the time left to the middle of March or whenever we're normally going to close it. It's around the middle of March, third week of March, is it not?
Yeah, we usually close third or fourth week of March, right after the skating carnival is usually
Yeah.
closed.
So if it's open for full use, they would be interested in using it for that. Minor Hockey Alberta has come out with a program so they can run their season. But in order to do that through what's proposed with Alberta Minor Hockey, the arena would have to stay open until the end of May. So that's not being feasible because we don't have staff and we don't have budget for that. They would make do with the 6 to 7 weeks if they can use it fully, not restricted. The figure skating, I talked to them, they feel exactly the same. If there's restrictions on the 21st, when the current one expires, if it comes back for partial restrictions, they just as soon forego the season. So I also talked to the town of Nanton. I talked to the CAO up there to see what Nanton was going to do, and it was kind of humorous. Neil said, well, actually, we're waiting for one of you guys to phone, because if somebody would pull the pin and close the arena, we're closing ours. So I said, well, if we don't close ours, well, we won't be closing ours. So then I phoned Sue down at Fort McLeod and talked to her, and they're on the fence. They're basically thinking they'll make a decision in the next week. They were hoping somebody else would start the ball rolling too, but that's not going to happen. So if it doesn't come back fully on the 21st, they're taking the ice out to save money. Because I mean, even there is a cost incurred. There's more than just utilities. There's staff, there's wear and tear. There's lots of costs incurred. And for the building to sit there empty or underutilized, I don't agree with it. But in my opinion, waiting another week, 10 days, to see what the restrictions will be on the 21st wouldn't hurt us. But that's just my opinion. I'd like to hear from you guys and see what you think.
Well, in theory, Mr. Kenny has promised us in the business community 7 days notice for any of his changes. So if he holds true to his word, which we
Ooh.
5% chance of that actually happening, we should have a directive from the province as of this Thursday. The information came out with today for the Restaurant Association would indicate partial closures. So we'll see how that rolls. But if they hold to their mandate, we'll know on this Thursday.
And I like the discussion we had with the minor hockey and with skating club. I mean, if we have a plan, I mean, 10 days is 10 days. If it comes back, but we know that they're okay. You know, if there's restrictions, then there's no sense going forward. If they're fully open, then they'd be able to utilize it. As long as we have some kind of plan going in to the 21st around, you know, everybody's on the same page and nobody's getting sideswiped by either closing or keeping it open, then as long as we're all communicating, I mean, I'm in favor of keeping it open too till the 21st. But if it's not going to be utilized to pay for itself, then.
Well,
Yeah, I think
and to back that up, I would suggest that we put a motion in place that if the arena does not come back into full operation on the 21st, we allow the town staff to take the ice out.
Mhm.
Because then it's set. We don't have to wait and go and debate this all again.
Right.
Because I mean, the figure skating is very cut and dry. If it's not coming back to full on service, they're not interested. And minor hockey, if they can't go and play full games, and if they're only allowed a practice skate, it's kind of redundant.
Right.
I don't know, do you want to make a motion like that, or do you want to wait until our next meeting and make a motion then, which puts it back into past that? You're making that motion, Councillor Schlossberger?
Yes, if restrictions continue on the 21st of January, I suggest we close the arena.
Corinne will be working on some wording right this as we speak. So we'll all give her a minute here.
I mean,
think
and
this is-
and I agree, and I hear where the community wants to keep as many public and as many things as we can for recreation open, but if it comes back with restrictions and we're not able to utilize it to the full extent that we need to use it, I mean, it's costing taxpayers way too much money to keep that thing open to maybe use later on. And I mean, I just don't see it working if there is more restrictions or if they're continuing.
And the other problem is if you come back with too many restrictions and we try and open it, who's going to police it?
Right.
If it's, it's like, it was fairly easy the last time we opened it under restrictions because it was cut and dry. 10 skaters, you check in, the door's locked. I mean, and if it's going to be that way again, minor hockey's not interested. Figure skating's not interested.
Well, I fully support that.
But if they're allowed to go back to team sports on the 21st, I don't see any reason we wouldn't let them finish the season.
Yeah.
So Corinne, how you doing?
Okay, so, sorry, who was it that was making that motion? Was that Councillor Cutler?
Schlossberger.
Schlossberger, okay. So what I have is moved by Councillor Schlossberger to authorize administration to remove the Claresholm Arena ice if the Alberta government does not allow the use of recreation facilities in our province after January 21st, 2021, and the restrictions continue as is, and to leave the ice out until the 2021-2022 season in the fall of 2021.
That works for me. How's that for you?
That works.
Okay, all in favor of that motion?
Hold on. So, Corinne, when you said continued restrictions, what did you say there?
Let's read it again, Corinne.
I know, I kind of stuttered there, sorry. So I said, moved by Councillor Schlossberger to authorize administration to remove the Claresholm Arena ice if the Alberta government does not allow the use of recreation facilities in our province after 2021 and or the restrictions continue as is, and to leave the ice out until the 2021/2022 season in the fall of 2021.
Councillor Schlossberger, how do you feel?
Just January 21st of 2021.
Yep.
Instead of 2021.
Yeah, no, I did. I said January 21st, 2021. So that's basically saying that if they don't allow the use of recreation facilities in our province and or the restrictions continue, right? Because you were saying that you guys were just concerned that the restrictions, they might open them up and the restrictions might be too restrictive.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Good enough to vote on?
Yep.
Okay, all in favor? Carried. For 23, information brief, council resolutions. Any questions?
A lot of completions.
Yeah. Adoption of information items. Any questions on the information items?
No, I'll make a motion to adopt the information items as presented.
Councillor Zimmer, question?
Moved by Councillor Zimmer to adopt the information items as presented.
All in favor? Carried. And a motion to go in camera.
I'll make that motion.
Craig.
Okay, Counselor Zimmer, all in favor?